it's so hard to kind of pin down exactly what's going on. So it's tough to dive into that. And then Conan stepped into it with some allegations that he put out there that we're not going to dive into here because that has nothing to do with anything. Like, I don't know what to make of this situation. The only thing I know is that I like Britt Baker. I wish I saw her on my television more.
I wish Britt Baker would like to be on TV more.
Sure.
That's what I wish. I wish that Britt Baker wasn't such a pain in the ass behind the scenes, as people tell me. I wish. But it's not working out now. So I wrote down names that you just mentioned, Gabe. I mentioned Ricky Starks at the top. I saw Ricky Starks at House of Glory on Friday on an indie show in Chicago, and Ricky Starks is over. He signed autographs. He was very affable to the fans. I mean, to me, for him to be sitting on ice, that's just ridiculous. I mean, out of all things, so you give more time to Christopher Daniels and Jeff Jarrett, but you don't give time to Ricky Starks. And our buddy Miro, same thing. For him to just sit, so there's nothing for Miro to do. You're right. So nothing. So to me, I just think that we know it's an arms race. We know AEW want to poach as much talent as possible just because WWE wanted them. Right. So if you want to have that talent, that's fine. But to have that talent sitting on the shelf and you have nothing for them creatively, this is why people are backing off of AEW, because this is what WWE was for a long time. Oh, my favorites don't get a chance to wrestle, or they lose all the time. Creative has nothing for them. Okay, I'll go someplace else. And the other place that they go is AEW, and the same thing happens. Why do you think that there's a renaissance of WWE fans? Because the same thing they went through with WWE is happening in AEW, and now people are jumping back.
Yeah, I mean, to that point, you mentioned Jeff Jarrett. We could do that exact same storyline, but take out Jarrett, put in Starks, and we look at it completely differently.
Yes.
Like, if it's Ricky Starks versus Claudio next week, and if Ricky wins, he gets the title shot, we're into that. If it's Ricky and MJF doing stuff in the ring, we're into that. But we have Jeff Jarrett out there. We have the Rock and Roll Express in the main event spot last night getting laid out. Like, what are we doing?
But again, how much of this is talent doesn't want to? Because there's reports on all of them, right? Like, there's so many like rumors and reports. Like, yes. I don't know who necessarily to believe. J Hood, I know you're way more connected than we are, but like, I mean, if you stay on the internet long enough, it's like, oh well, Starks doesn't want to do a job, but no, he will. He actually just wants to be there, and it's so much a back and forth on both sides. I'm sure the truth lands somewhere in the middle. But that's the frustrating part, is that like I have no idea like who to be upset about. And then, by the way, then it's like, well, once Starks, Malachi Black, and Miro, once their contracts are done, they're going to WWE. The hell all of them are. Like, WWE doesn't have room for everybody, man. Like, Miro and Malachi left WWE because they were being overlooked to begin with, and now that roster's just gotten even better. Like, where are you finding time to highlight all of these people? Like, it just
there's a speed title tournament for those guys.
Oh, dear Lord. God, that's going to be Penta. I hope to God that's not where Penta ends up. Jeez and Crow, man. Like,
that's where your boy Ray's going to end up. Penta's pretty hot right now. Ray Phoenix, on the other hand,
oh, God,
I hope he can do his stuff in 3 minutes.
I'll fight. Well, I mean, you know he can. Yeah, you know damn well he can. And if that's where Ray ends up, me and Triple H are going to have fisticuffs. I'm going to get my ass kicked, but yeah. I'll stand up for my guy.
The other name I threw out there, because he goes in that boat of like the super hot and then he goes away. He's like, does Wardlow still work there?
Yes.
Because I've seen him advertised for an indie show Mania week already. So he's healthy enough for April, but he got a haircut on TV and then that was it.
No, he still works for the company.
All right. That's good.
So another guy that's just sitting out and can't find anything for him. So start and stop with him. Had Goldberg-like chance, but yet you can't find time for him on TV. So, again, there's a lot of issues with this company, a lot of issues. But I would agree, Gabe, with you that where we are in 2025, we're good. Because those names that are not wrestling on AEW don't necessarily have to go to WWE. Mm-hmm. Because now you go back to the old days of you got a stacked roster and some of your favorites from AEW or from the Indies, now they don't get TV time. Keep it level the way it is. TNA over here, NXT, WWE, AEW, Indies, NWA, whatever, MLW. Spread out the talent so we can all enjoy them. So I got no problem with that.
Tom Pestock, and now I'm blanking on the name. He's going to be going on going forward. The wrestler formerly known as Baron Corbin said he's not really interested in AEW because they've built something over there. He doesn't want to like go in there, just be this former WWE guy who ended up in AEW. So he wants to maybe go to Japan for an entire year. TNA's reached out to him. He can go and do indie shows, and I think all these different wrestlers can do that if they're interested in being on the indies. I mean, it's what the lineage is. Obviously Cody and the Young Bucks and everything that they did before they started AEW. Matt Cardona has kind of continued that in more of the recent years, ever since everything's been established. But wrestling being so hot, like those names don't have to go to WWE. People are just going to be forgotten about in WWE too. It's just that roster is pretty loaded. But in terms of the biggest missed talent in AEW, the answer is simple. It's CM Punk. And even though he was featured, even though he was a former champion, like they botched the whole thing. And honestly, that's kind of what started. WWE really started to pick up right around the time CM Punk showed. The arrow was pointing up already for WWE when Punk showed up, but it's continued to climb up, and AEW's had a real hard time catching up because Punk was their biggest star.
And
that's true.
Yeah, and I was going to say, like, it's a good point to your point earlier about how you don't know what to believe because all this falls on Tony. Everyone's like, oh, Tony's misusing it. But we know who CM Punk is, and, well, he's sort of an ass backstage. So, like, you blame AEW, but also he's at fault, and, like, the adult in the room aspect just comes back to bite them in the ass in that situation.